Hey guys, welcome back to Pinehaven Acres. So today I started working on a project and I thought that I could share it with you guys. I have a few things that I'm working on in the rabbitry right now, mostly fixing up cages and replacing parts and pieces. So today I'm going to start with this cage behind me. This was a Flemish Giant cage when I used to breed Flemish, and it's pretty big. It's roughly 4 feet by 8 feet, and as you can see, it's not looking its best. So I got out of Flemish probably 7 or 8 months ago, and this cage used to be for my doe and all of her babies, and then the one attached to it was for my buck. But since I don't breed them anymore, I really want to use this cage space, and I have enough grow out pens, so I'm going to transform this big cage into a 3-hole cage. So the plan for now is to make this one big cage, this one cage, and then this one cage. We have a lot of work to do, and to start off, this cage is pretty dirty, like I said, so I'm probably just gonna rip out the entire floor, and then this is all wood, so I definitely need to be adding some wire to that to get some airflow through there. And then we're gonna have to build a divider wall here. Depending on my size wire, I might have to do a different floor system. So because this cage was so big, I don't know if you guys can see, but my wire ended here because I rolled it out long ways, so it was only, whatever this is, like 2 feet wide, and then it ended here. So I have this gap in the floor. So if I were to do this again, I would need to fill it in with that big board, but I don't want to because it gets dirty, and I obviously need to have a divider wall. So I'm trying to come up with a way that I can have one smooth floor and have it be as sanitary as possible. So I will get started unscrewing boards, and then I'll update you guys, and you guys can follow along and see what we come up with. So we have run into a slight dilemma. When I was trying to take this sheet of plywood out, I think I only put 4 screws in it, so super simple. I thought it would be pretty easy to take out. Well, it turns out, since it's been in here so long, and since some rabbits have used it as a litter box, all of the screws have started to break down and deteriorate, and they're pretty rusty. But I was able to get the front 2 out. The back 2 are too far gone. They stripped as soon as I started unscrewing them. The metal is just ruined pretty much. So I need to try to figure out how I'm going to get this out now. Got a hammer. I'll try to hit it from the underside, see if I can pop it up. Maybe the screws are broken down enough that I can just pull it out of the rest of the frame, but we will just have to see. Found another screw. I guess I had more than 4 screws. Just found 3 more. These ones are coming out just fine, just the back ones. Might just have to cut it. This is what it looks like. It's kind of lifted up against the wall, but it's just stuck in the back corners. So I might just cut across to get the main piece out, and then we'll work on the back one. Okay, we need a different saw. I'm actually gonna see if I can take off this wall here, because I cut straight across. It just couldn't reach the edges because there's a guard on the front of the saw, and also I don't want to really cut into the frame of the whole cage, which I put the plywood on top of. So we're gonna see if I can take the wall off, because it's kind of bowed in. I'm thinking it's preventing me from lifting up the rest of the floor. So hopefully once that's off, I can lift up the front part that I cut of the flooring, and hopefully it'll snap and break off. I don't know, otherwise we're gonna have to get another saw. Alright, I got that board out. Still have to get the little piece in the back, but shouldn't be too difficult. Alright, this is what it's looking like so far. I got the back wooden piece out. I ended up taking out that back wall section so that I could get my saw in there and get everything out. And then I also took out a bracing piece that was coming across here. So this section is pretty much done. Just needs the flooring, the wall put back in, and then I'll have to make a new door with wire on it. And then for this area here, I unscrewed this bracing piece and then that one over there, but they are stapled to the wire flooring, so they can't quite come off yet. And then my next challenge is going to be to get these two 2x4s out. When I built this, I didn't paint it until probably a year later, and I screwed in these screws pretty far into the wood. Don't know why I did that, because now it's going to be a lot harder to get them out, and also there's paint like stuck in there too, so that's going to be interesting. But everything's going pretty fast actually. I haven't been out here too long, and I think that might be the last hard thing. Everything else should be pretty simple and easy to do, and I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out. Alright, so I got all of the wire off and the framing to go along with it. This is what the cage is looking like so far. So I have the two big pieces of wire that I took off. There's one back there, and then there's one down here. And the wire is still in pretty decent shape, so I'll probably keep it to repurpose for making the door for this cage, and then fixing the wire flooring in another cage. But we are going to upgrade this cage's wire to 14 gauge. I had 16 gauge on here, but I've been trying to change all of my wire floorings to 14 gauge. It just lasts a lot longer. The welding is so much better, and it's better for the rabbit's feet because it's a thicker surface. But it's the same dimensions. It's 1 inch by 1/2 inch. So what I'm thinking is, instead of running my wire from front to back like it was, because we have these weird gaps because of the wire measurements, I'm going to be running two pieces of wire from the left to the right side all the way across, and then I'll have a piece of wood in the middle to staple them together. I'm doing two pieces because they're only 2 feet wide, and this cage is just about 4 feet wide. So that is the plan. Hopefully it'll look pretty smooth once it's all up, and we won't have any weird gaps that we need to fill in with wood, like for example what we took off the cage already. And then on top of that, so I like to put my wire on from underneath the cage frame, so it would be like this where my hand is. I do not like putting it on top. It just creates more space for the rabbits to go to the bathroom on top of the wood instead of having this as a lip. So they can't go to the bathroom on here. They would be going on the wire underneath. So I'll attach the wire from there, and then once that's on, we're going to build on top of that for some pieces of wood coming across here that we're going to attach our dividers to. So I'll have one right here where the old frame used to be, and then one about here. I'm just about ready to put in the first piece of wire flooring. I have it cut to size, and I put a tarp out underneath the cage so I can lay down and not get myself super dirty. I'll be using a hammer and these fence staples to attach it. I definitely recommend using these instead of a handheld stapler gun sort of situation. These are a lot sturdier and they will hold up your cage a lot better, especially if you have a large breed rabbit. This is what it looks like. So it's just a thick piece of metal. This is probably 14 gauge. I'll see if it says on the box. But I would guess 14 gauge and just a U shape. You can buy them at Menards. They're not super expensive at all. Alright, this is where we are going to end off today, and I'll come back tomorrow to finish up a divider wall over here and finish rebuilding this door. But it's looking really nice so far. We have all of the wire in, and like I had said, the wire is running long ways this way, and we have that wooden piece in the middle there. I stapled down to it so that it was more secure in the middle, and then I put in our bracing here, and then we're going to build the divider wall on this tomorrow all the way around. But I put this wall back in and I covered up that doorway. Day 2, and we are just about done. So as you can tell, I changed out this door and made a new one of all wire, and then I was able to install the divider wall for this. I'll open up this door so you guys can see. It's a solid plywood wall. And then for this cage here, I might change out the back solid wall for a wire wall so that there's more airflow. But I'm going to wait to see how warm and stuffy it gets in here, if at all. When I built this Flemish Giant cage, I purposely made it almost twice as tall as I normally do. So there's plenty of room for air to get in and circulate. But you never know, on those hot days it might get pretty toasty in there. So I'll keep an eye on that before I put some rabbits in it. But for these other cages, the other stuff that I worked on was covering up that hole there. So we have all the feeders installed. I still need to cut out holes for water containers, but I'm going to wait to do that until I actually move some rabbits in here so I know what kind of container I want them using. And then if you hadn't noticed already, the door for this area is in the back. It's just a little panel door there. I will be using that as the main door. Eventually I might just make another big one like this in the front, but for now I'll just use that. And that's about it. I think besides cutting out the doors, holes in the doors for the water containers, this hutch is complete. For dimensions, this cage is 38 inches by 30 inches, same as the one next to it. And then this one is 38 inches by 18 inches. So my plan is to use these two as like a nursery area. So when the bunnies are just old enough to not really need a nest box in the summer at least, so around 3.5 to 4 weeks old, when they start crawling around, I will move them in here until they are weaned, and then depending on how large the litters are, I might move them all to a bigger grow-out pen. But this is going to be like the nursery area, and then for this smaller cage, I'll use that for any dry does that I have, or any pregnant does where they don't need a ton of space yet. And then this one here that connects, it's probably 10 or 12 feet long by 2 feet. I will use that as a grow-out pen. And to finish this video up, I wanted to show you some of our most recent litters, and some of which are going to be moving into that new hutch that we just redid. So this first one is a cream d'argent. She's a little bit protective over her baby, so I'll just zoom you guys in. They're gonna be 2 weeks old in a few days, so they just started to open up their eyes. And they are so adorable. Cream babies, I think, are the cutest besides any broken colors, at least in my opinion. And then coming up here, we have a silver fox. This is a chocolate silver fox bred to a black, and they produced all blacks. I think her babies are way in the back there. And then coming over this way, we have another black silver fox, and she was bred to a black, and they produced all black. And she pulled out a ton of fur, so I'll probably end up saving this for our next upcoming litter. So I'm going to give these guys another week to week and a half, and then I will be moving them into that big Flemish Giant cage.